Dale Earnhardt Jr., the most beloved name in NASCAR since his father, just went on record to publicly call out Fox Sports in front of millions of fans. Not in a private conversation, not in a locker room, but openly, on social media, where every fan, every executive, and every broadcast partner could see it. And he did not hedge. He backed Denny Hamlin's growing public campaign against Fox Sports' stage break caution lengths without a single qualifier. That public statement, given who Dale Jr. is and where he currently sits in the sport, changes the nature of this conversation entirely. To understand why Dale Jr.'s statement lands with such force, you need to understand what Denny Hamlin laid out first. Hamlin, the Joe Gibbs racing driver and co-owner of 23X Mall Racing, has been building toward this moment for weeks. When he addressed the issue in specific, measurable detail on his podcast, Actions Detrimental, and what he described is not a vague complaint about commercials. It is a structural breakdown of exactly how Fox Sports' stage break format operates and what it costs the race every single time it happens. Here is the sequence Hamlin described. A stage ends, the green checkered flag waves. Immediately, a caution comes out and the pace car rolls onto the track. Fox cuts to commercial, approximately 5 full minutes of advertisements. When the commercials end, pit road opens. Drivers pit, exit onto the track, and the entire field must line up again before the green flag drops. By the time racing resumes, a significant portion of the next stage has already been consumed by the break. That Hamlin put it plainly on his podcast. The end of the stage break happens, green checkered, and boom, we're under caution. The pace car comes out, they catch us, and we're under commercial. We're going to get our commercials in, they're going to get them in, all 5 minutes of it. It seems like a while. They open pit road and then it's a reset. We got to line up. It's just so long. The reason Fox Sports extends these cautions is specific. The network wants to show the pit stops, which means keeping the caution running long enough to cover both the full commercial break and live pit road coverage simultaneously. The result is that what should be a brief transition between stages becomes a 10-minute pause that kills all momentum in the race. That is not an opinion. That is the mechanical outcome of the current format. When Dale Earnhardt Jr. saw Hamlin's breakdown, he posted publicly in support, his exact words. He's right, it's also chewing into the next stage and shortening up those parts of the race taking product off the shelf. That phrase, taking product off the shelf, carries specific meaning coming from Dale Jr. He is not speaking as a frustrated fan. He currently works as an analyst for TNT Sports and Amazon Prime Video's NASCAR coverage. He has been on the track as a driver. He has been in the broadcast booth. When he says the broadcast format is shortening the product and removing it from the shelf, he is speaking from direct experience on both sides of the camera, and the industry knows it. The weight of Dale Jr.'s involvement is impossible to overstate. He is one of the most credible and beloved figures the sport has ever produced. His willingness to publicly back Hamlin's criticism despite working for competing broadcast partners, TNT Sports and Amazon, not Fox, demonstrates how seriously he views this problem. He had nothing to gain professionally by making this public. He did it anyway. That decision alone signals that this is not a minor grievance. Together, Hamlin and Dale Jr. have sent a message that this is not drivers venting frustration. This is a formal and public challenge about protecting the future of NASCAR. From the perspective of a fan watching at home, the experience Hamlin described is not abstract. A stage ends with real momentum, positions changing, cars battling, energy building. The caution neutralizes all of it instantly. 5 minutes of commercials airs while that energy completely dissipates. Pit road activity is shown, but the racing context is already gone. The full field must reset before competition resumes. By the time the green flag drops, the excitement generated at the end of the previous stage has been dead for nearly 10 minutes. Nobody in this conversation is arguing that Fox Sports should not run commercials. Television networks require advertising revenue to function. The argument is precise. There is a measurable difference between running commercials and allowing those commercials to structurally destroy the flow and energy of the race. For a sport competing for every viewer it has, a 10-minute dead zone in the middle of a live broadcast is a serious audience retention problem. Fans have remote controls and dead air gives them a reason to use them. The broadcast problem does not exist in isolation. Yet it sits on top of a deeper structural challenge that Hall of Famer Richard Petty recently identified publicly. Petty, the 7-time Cup Series champion known as the King, warned that NASCAR is really hurting because the sport does not currently have a modern superstar. Petty referenced the era of Dale Earnhardt, Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon, drivers who dominated for years and became the face of the sport to audiences well beyond the existing fan base. Those drivers brought people into NASCAR who had never watched a race before. They sold out tracks every weekend and created a cultural connection to the sport that extended far outside it. Petty's diagnosis is that the current era of competitive parity means no single driver can dominate long enough to build that kind of star power. But when the competition is so tight that nobody consistently stands out, creating one transcendent figure who draws casual fans in becomes structurally difficult. The combination of a sport searching for its next superstar and a broadcast that is simultaneously making the racing experience worse for the fans who are already watching is a compounding problem, not a simple one. While the broadcast problems are frustrating the existing fan base, there are genuinely compelling stories developing inside the sport that should be receiving more attention. AM Racing made a sudden, unexplained withdrawal of their number 25 Ford Mustang, driven by Nick Sanchez, from the North Carolina Education Lottery 250 at Rockingham. While Sanchez had been sitting 25th in the standings after 7 races, with a season-best third-place finish at Atlanta, but also 3 DNFs weighing down his campaign. That withdrawal dropped the entry list to exactly 38 cars for 38 starting spots, locking every remaining driver into the race automatically. The driver who benefits most directly from that development is Cleetus McFarland, the YouTube personality with millions of followers who has been making a serious and documented push into NASCAR competition. Before the withdrawal, Cleetus was on the bubble and faced a genuine possibility of not making the field. He had been testing with Richard Childress Racing, one of NASCAR's most respected organizations, and demonstrated legitimate pace and solid car control during those sessions. The Cleetus McFarland represents exactly the kind of crossover story NASCAR needs right now. He brings millions of fans from a completely different world and introduces them to real professional racing competition through someone they already follow and trust. Isabella Robusto, a young history-making female driver, is simultaneously rising through the ranks as one of NASCAR's most closely watched prospects. In an interview with Express US Sports, Robusto described her crossover appeal directly. "Yeah, I think it definitely helps kind of bring in people from all different worlds, right? You have people who followed me from when I was younger playing football or track and field, or from cooking, cycling, or all the other things I also do," she added. "It is really cool to see my kind of popularity grow, as you said, over the years, and just being able to show everyone like, okay, this is me." Reports have indicated a possible future Cup Series path for Robusto through 23X1 Racing, the team co-owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. If that path materializes, it becomes one of the most significant stories the sport has produced in years. This is the contradiction at the center of NASCAR's current situation. The sport has exactly the kind of compelling stories that Richard Petty identified as missing. Cleetus McFarland earning his shot through legitimate competition, Isabella Robusto rising through the ranks with a fan base that extends well beyond traditional NASCAR audiences, young drivers with massive followings capable of bringing entirely new demographics to the sport. But none of those stories reach their full potential audience if the television product is simultaneously pushing existing viewers away with extended cautions and dead air in the middle of races. New fans attracted by Cleetus McFarland or Isabella Robusto who tune in and encounter a 10-minute commercial and caution break in the middle of live action are not fans who stay. The broadcast experience and the storytelling opportunity are working in opposite directions. Fox Sports now faces public criticism from one of NASCAR's most beloved figures and one of its most prominent active voices simultaneously. The question the sport must now answer is whether Fox Sports and NASCAR will respond to this pressure with actual structural changes, or whether the format continues unchanged while the audience pays the price.